Alex. Thank you for your service.
Oh, but I appreciate your thoughts. Yes.
Yes.
That's fine. It was I was about 14 years old at the time, and it was a Sunday afternoon, if I remember, and that's when the Japanese raided Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
And I was laying on the floor by the radio listening to it, and my whole family were sitting around there, got really excited about the whole thing, and so did I. At that point in time, President Roosevelt, who was our president at that particular time, wanted to declare war, and he did immediately on the Japanese at that point. And the way things were in those days, everybody was pretty active and excited about things. And I guess everybody was joining the service, and you're a kid, you're still a kid at 14, you think you know everything, but you don't really. But you feel like you should be doing something to help.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I went ahead and was working my way through school, and I wanted to get out of school anyway because I wasn't doing that good at the time. And I started figuring how could I get into the service and and go away and do my part. So what I did is took my birth certificate and I put lemon juice on it. And I put the lemon juice on there, and I changed the 1927 to all I needed to do was do the last figure, which was a 7. I suppose 1927 was the actual. I changed that 7 to a 9, and that, no, did I go up or not? Oh, I changed it where I was 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung on that for a while, and I went down and got down to see the naval recruiting officer down there. And I walked in, and of course I was kind of a bigger kid, but and they were still looking for a lot of people. And I walked in there, and it was in Schenectady, and I enlisted. And he said, "You sure you know what you're doing?" And I said, "Sure, I do. Yeah, I know what I'm doing." So he said, "Well, you got to get these papers signed." Well, isn't my birth certificate enough? No, it isn't. We got to have your guardian, right?
Yeah.
So my guardian at the time was my grandmother. And she said, "You're not going no place." And I said, "Well, if you don't let me go, I'm going to go anyway. I'll go to Canada if I have to go out and help out,
Yeah.
So she took me into the school, and she went to she went to the officers there that were in charge of kids and keeping them in line where they're supposed to be. And she said, she asked a question to my grandmother, what's he want to do? And she said, he wants to go into the Navy. He said he's all set, and he thinks he can get in if he can get his papers signed, and you are the guardian. So I brought him here. So she says, "Yeah, I'm a little bit upset. I don't know what to do with him, She says, you might as well let him go because you're not doing an awful lot here. And I did. When we left, we signed up. Now that was the early part of the year, around January or February, because we just changed, because it was 1942, and then it seemed like it was the first of the year, brought us up to 43, and I stay around waiting all summer long. They never called me.
So when you first enlisted, what rank were you at the time?
Well, I was just plain seaman at that time. Just no officer, because I hadn't been in school. Hadn't been in the school that long. Not at 14. I was getting ready to go to. I was at junior high at that point, and so at that point, all the people I was telling I was going into the Navy, and it was week after week after week, and nothing is happening. And all of a sudden, I think it was right around Christmas time that year, I got a notice to report to this building over in Albany, and just to bring a change of clothes. And I went there, and it was that night, and they had a ton of guys there.
Yeah.
And we started going through, and they started painting numbers on our chest with like methylate, so they could identify us. And they started with the shots in the arm, and all them needles hurt. And we had about 4 or 5 all at once, And you're standing there, what am I doing here, So, but to make a long story short, I passed all the tests and got all the shots. And I'm worried that somebody's going to grab me by the collar and get me out of there. But they didn't do it. I was still moving through, and I was supposed to be going down to down south to one of the naval headquarters place down there called Solomons, Maryland, which was a new place that just opened up, and I was going to the amphibious forces. That was a different new group that they started. Did you ever hear of them? The Naval Amphibious Forces?
No, I've never heard of them before.
No. They used and drove these things, and we hit all the beaches on the invasions.
Yeah.
And a little scary, but it was still fun because I hadn't gone through it yet. So I wouldn't suggest take that route, but I don't think I'd want to do it again that way.
Yeah.
But so we went. We went out, as I said, we went down there near, I can't think of the name of the place at the moment, but it was right, Solomons, Maryland was the ultimate base, and that was a United States Naval base down there, and had to do with a new approach to invasion technology, where you'd go in there and right with the troops and support them, bring them in, and kind of wait for them and get them out of there if we had to. So we're using those just for about everything under the sun.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
How long did you serve in the Navy?
About 4.5 years.
1.5 years?
Yeah, I got out in 1946, Lido Beach. I was in the. I have a problem with my throat. It's because I got our ship got hit on that side right there.
Yeah.
You can see these are replicas of small mortars,
Yeah.
which is kind of unique
Yeah.
to have mortars on a patrol boat. But
Yeah.
that's what we did. These things, mortars, we carried 3.2 millimeter mortars. We carried 3 of them. And down below was all the
Yeah.
ammunition, and it was being passed up. And and fired as fast as you could. They kept going and going and going and going. And when they first started with that, one of the problems was they were bolted to the deck on the foredeck.
Yeah.
And that's only 1/4-inch plate down there, and these things are welded, they had them tack welded to the plates. And we're breaking the seams and everything else. And they didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Every time you'd fire, you get this arrangement. So one of the guys in the flotilla went over and got some I think they're 2x6s someplace, and he made like you ever been in a sandbox when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, they made a sandbox bigger than the gun emplacement, and they used sea sand inside of that.
Yeah.
And the gun is set down on that, right on real sand.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like a soft pad. And that was the biggest break we got. Or you break these things were only tack welded in many places, so you couldn't rough them up too much.
Yeah. So when you're about to fire the mortar, you're sitting nice and comfy on sea sand, nice
Yeah,
and
you got
comfy.
You got it. LCIs had ladders, and they went down to the water. And as they went down that ladder, especially over in Europe, they were just shooting those guys as fast as they walked across that ladder. The Germans were at that time.
Yeah.
And I was not over there, thank goodness. I was always in the Pacific by the time I got to the place. And it was, I'll try to find a couple of notes here where I might. As we went, I've got the complete bunch of data on my whole term out there in the Pacific, and every island I went to, and every invasion that we were involved in. They'd grab us for everything. I mean, from taking garbage to someplace, believe it or not, or going out there and what we had on the back end of these things were what they call smoke makers.
Yeah.
And they had Okinawa out there where I was, or ended up anyway. Okinawa, they had the kamikazes out there. Did you ever hear of the kamikazes?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty bad stuff. They caused a lot of stuff like like this kind of a mess where they got up, and dived right into the ship,
Jeez.
and made a terrible mess out of a lot of things.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite place while traveling?
What was that question again?
What was your favorite place while traveling?
Before I got involved, it was a boat. It was a ship. That was 137 foot long, and that was my home. And I was on that one or two other ones at the same time. And as long as I was on board, I was fine. And but after a while, I shouldn't say after a while. The first time they were firing at us, they sprayed across the deck, and that was my gun position was here. They call it the general quarters. It's right there. And this was before the invasion, and they shot right across here. And I changed at that point. I was really scared. I'm not kidding you. That just being 15, you think you got it, but you don't. Yeah, what else did you want to know anything about those kamikazes? I probably started to tell you that we had the smoke machine on the back of this. And what they did with the smoke machine was we had a number of these, maybe 15 or 16 LCIs lined up on the windward side of the harbor, and we let smoke go over and cover the entire anchorage where they had all the boats, all the big boats. And they were hidden, they couldn't see them. But they got so frustrated they didn't care if they saw them or not. They were diving right down into that smoke, trying to hope they're hitting something.
All right. So, one of my questions are, why did you enlist?
I enlisted because that was the way I felt and everybody else did about their country. They loved their country and they wanted to defend it and keep it. And I enlisted for the same thing, to go out there and kill the enemy and get this war over with.
Yeah. So, which years did you serve?
Which year?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see, I got in there in 1943, although I joined 42. Remember I told you that lag we had between? So I got there in 1943 to 1946.
All right. So, besides Maryland, where did you travel?
Where did I travel?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness sakes. Saipan, Guam. Oh, I should have brought you a list of that too, but I didn't. But just about everything from Ulithi. Ulithi was kind of the main place you come in, and you anchored there usually. And from that point, you joined your group and you went different places. And I didn't bring a list of every place I went, but I can remember a lot of them. There was like Saipan, Tinian, Guam, went to Japan, went over to see China. I followed I followed the minesweepers after the war up there, which was scary. They're cutting mines, and we're standing over here with rifles, and we're trying to blow the mines up. I mean, that's kind of scary. You sometimes you look over and you missed one, and it's going by the ship, and it's scaring you. You know, if you ever hit that thing, they were trying to destroy them. They were cutting them loose and getting them out of there. And it was cleaning mines after the war.
Yeah.
Instead of going home like I figured I was going to be doing. But I could provide you with a whole list of places that I went. I have them, but I didn't bring them with me.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't think I did anyway. No.
So while you were on the ship, what was your job?
I was a communications. I was a signalman, and I did nothing because we couldn't use radios at the time.
Yeah.
And I was up on. You see that flashing light there?
Yep.
Okay, it's not flashing. I don't mean it's flashing, but that's my communication means. All in Morse code. Do you do much of that?
I don't.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. Okay, but that's what we use. And flags, like A, B, C, D, E. That's the only way we got our messages back. Matter of fact, I would get the skipper. I was up there with him, and he said, "You ever tell anybody?" He said, "I can't read that stuff, but if you tell anybody, you're a dead man." He said, "I don't want anybody knowing what we're doing, so don't tell anybody anything." And that's the way we held off. But we sent messages back and forth from one boat to the other, and it was quite interesting. You felt very important, and that was during your daytime stuff, not during the battle. When you were on general quarters, where you had to go ahead and prepare to fight, defend yourself. I was here on this gun. I was the gunner on this 20 millimeter here. There was a twin 40 up here, and there was one in each quadrant there. These were 20 millimeters. Nothing up here.
Yeah.
And then after that was over, then you go ahead and do your thing as far as going back to your regular duties.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a very good time.
Yeah, I'm wearing my dog tags too, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to see them.
So there's mine.
Okay. Alex, okay.
MOMC, and that was Month of the Military Child, April 21st, 2017.
2017, okay.
And then right here, this is my dad's.
Oh,
right
good.
now. So, did they have body armor back then?
What's that?
Did they have body armor back then from penetrating bullets?
Very little of anything.
Yeah.
No, they not. You had shields in front of the guns. I didn't put them on this. That's the only thing that saved me.
Yeah.
When we had that explosion down there, it just all that. A lot of that shrapnel just came right through here. And I had the gun turned that way, and I had these 2 quarter-inch plates.
Yeah, so like
in front of me.
Right there.
Yeah.
While the gun went through those 2 holes, or through that line there.
Yeah, you can see.
Like right here. Could you like duck down behind here, like behind the mortar?
There were 2 plates, and they were pretty close to the barrel. okay,
Yeah.
and in front of it. And you fired through visually through the gun itself, and that was the way you were protected. And it just so happened when that mortar hit and it blew up, my gun was positioned. I don't know. Something told me to turn the thing. I don't know why. I don't know why, but. Must be, I don't know, somebody up top knows more about things than I do. It protected me. And I just had, a few pieces in my neck and my arm. And let's see, my knee was cut open. That was under the plate.
So what did you do in your free time?
Work to keep your ship clean.
And your equipment too.
And your equipment, yes. And repaired what any particular damage that was that you had.
Yeah.
And in many cases, they found out things that they were doing that were wrong. Obviously, firing mortars too fast, the barrels would heat up and they would jam and you couldn't get them out of there.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That gave us some problems. But you learned an awful lot. I mean, this was a gung-ho, get it done.
Yeah.
And
Get it done and dusted.
get it done the best way you can. Get in there and get out, But sometimes you gotta think a little bit about what you're doing. And we learned a lot. We became a darn good flotilla. That's a number of these. Probably 14 different boats were in that one flotilla. They all traveled together and did their thing,
Yeah. So what did you do as a kid?
Oh, as a kid?
Yeah.
One time after they shot at us the first time, and they came pretty close, I waited a while, but I said to the skipper one night up on the conning tower there, when we were up on duty, I said, I think I want to get out of here. I want to go home. He said, what? I said, I want to go home because I'm only 15. And he says, you're only 15? It's too bad, because you go home when the rest of us go home. I'll get back to duty.
Yeah.
That's the way it went. That's the way that ended. I never brought it up again. But I still wanted to go home, I'll tell you. But we got through it. We had about I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many different operations we had. Not physically. I'm talking about attacks and stuff like that, and patrols and things that were going on. People trying to sneak from one island to another island. On a log and all kinds of stuff. We're picking up people all the time, Yeah. So we were busy. The only thing you could really do is read or kind of torment your fellow man, so to speak. We did some of that, the jokes, that what goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you eat while you were on the ship?
Very, very little. We didn't have a real good meal. A lot of Hamburg, well, not Hamburg, but canned Spam we had powdered eggs, and we had powdered milk, and it wasn't the greatest food in the world. And
Yeah.
we couldn't pull up to any place where you could just walk up the plank and go to a diner or something like that. Not out there.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, while you are on the island somewhere, you could find something like fruit or.
Well, there was some coconuts and stuff like that. Once
Coconuts, good.
every so often, you might run into something or grab a hole. And they had 3.0 beer or something like that. On occasion, you could have a beer at on one of the islands and go over there and have a party or whatever you wanted to do. Yeah, you got a shot at it anyway.
Yeah. So, how many friends did you make while in the Navy?
All of them,
All of them.
quite a bit. With you're on with our crew was about 37 people
37 people.
on there, and that's about it. And you're pretty close together all the time. It's not as tough as a submarine is, but it was the next thing to it, I think.
Yeah.
And you can get aggravated really quick, if you let yourself. But it don't do you any good. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
You go to the other side of the boat. That's about it. But we did. We got along pretty good.
Good.
And if you were a type that was, causing problems or something like that, you didn't have any friends. So if you want a friend, you better play the game, so to speak.
Yeah. So, what was basic training like?
What was
Basic training?
basic? It's just what you see, basically. It's what you see in the movies and so on and so forth. You march, you learn how to fire the rifles, because you're in an amphibious group, and you got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was before they had SEALs and all that.
Yeah. So, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted. Remember at the beginning we talked about going down to the naval recruiter, and he thought I was kind of, you sure you know what you're doing? I said, yep. Of course, they weren't supposed to take me, I guess. I mean, and I think he knew. He didn't say anything about it, but he has a quota too that he's got to get filled.
Yeah.
So they said, let's get this guy, get him in there, right? And I wanted to go anyway, so
Yeah.
the only one I scared was my grandmother. That's all. I feel sorry for that. I did. But especially when she got the word that I had been wounded, and that was kind of tough. When we had the explosion, we got the word to abandon ship, and I was probably one of the first one to go, but I was the one over the side. And they tried to pick me up when they were going in, and I said, no, give me on the floating boat that something I can get out of here, really. So
You probably jumped right off here or there, right?
well, no, I was here. That was my gun position was here. See, so I went right over there, right down like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And they had these small P-boats that were bringing the military in, and they were going back out to the hospital ship. So they dragged me out of the water, and I don't remember if I could talk too much. I was a little bit scared, I guess. I didn't do too much talking, and then they put me on a hospital ship for four days, I guess it was. I was on that, and I finally got my voice back.
So, how cold was the water when you jumped in?
I would say, if I remember, it wasn't like a big tanker or anything like that. It was just that from this point here to there is probably 20 feet maximum. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you for the interview and for your service.
Pleasure. You helped me out because I haven't done this in a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.